Howdy! Today we're going to be talking about Next in Fashion Season 2, Episode 8. The runway theme, decades. Let's time travel now, shall we? Decades. Decades in fashion. That is a fun concept. The reason why I like this is because every decade and every era in fashion, usually you can tell what time period or era you are looking at by seeing what people are wearing. And I think that that is a very important conversation in fashion. That as time is moving, so is fashion. And we can tell what period we are in by looking at the key signatures that people were wearing at the time. And I think that that's really, really cool. For this challenge, they were given a decade in fashion to design a look inspired by. And this is such a fun concept. I think period looks are so cool. All the way back from fashion to the 1800s, all the way till as current as like 2010s. I think fashion always has this way of evolving and moving forward. And as much as I agree with the words by Anna Wintour, I don't know why I'm bringing her up. As she's very said, fashion is about looking forward, never looking back. And I think that looking backwards, we're able to be inspired in the now. And I think that that's an important conversation to be had. And I love this runway theme. I think this is a really cool runway theme. With that, let's get to these runway looks, shall we? Okay, this thing is kind of bothering me. It's like ruining my peripheral. So we're gonna start off with Desiree. Desiree is given the 50s. Now, the 50s are so cool. I think the 50s definitely are known for a lot of the suiting elements that are popularized in the 50s, as well as the sort of rebellious movement and sort of how rebel fashion started taking place and started birthing itself, at least in the United States. Her look is a overcoat with a pink moto jacket and matching pant underneath. I actually really like the styling with the Converse. I like how this man is still mature, but this outfit is still young and appropriate. I love the detailing of the lacing at the bottom of the jacket. I like the styling of the black coat over the pink look, because as soon as he takes it off, it's more impactful and it's that pop. It looks very nice on the runway, and I'm so shocked that they sent her home over this. They made a leather moto jacket and an entire coat in less than 10 hours. How do you eliminate that? I'm beyond baffled, personally, beyond baffled. Next up, we have Amari. I was given the 60s, and Amari really let me down with this look. I don't know what they were trying to do with that jacket. I get it. It's very Jackie Kennedy. It's honestly a little bit Chanel, and it's a little bit Barbie. But I think the construction of it hurts this look. It doesn't even really fit the model correctly. Those darts are not helping her in any way, shape, or way. Those darts aren't helping her at all. Whatever belt she created and just tied up in the back looks awful. The sleeves are too long. The lapels on that collar aren't like properly blocked and fused, so they don't look clean. The best thing about this look are the skirt and the matching buttons. That's about it. Oh, and I like her makeup and the thing she has on her head, because this look is so lackluster to me. I get where she was going. The iconic figure that is Jackie Kennedy in the 60s, but it just did not live up to the rest of the contestants in this episode. And I think it's baffling to me. At this point, this is what's happening. I think that's insane. Up next is Nigel in the 70s, and honestly, what a match made in heaven. I feel like Nigel's staple technique, which is patchworking, really lends itself to the 70s. These pants are amazing. The front of them covered with this lace and this different sort of motifs, and the different denims that are patchwork in that stripe to sort of be the foundation of it. Really cool. The way that Nigel's able to imagine how all this is going to look and just goes for it is really cool. And regardless of it clashing with that sweater and with the bag, it all looks like a match made in heaven. It's a psychedelic trip. I can see this person chilling out, riding a skateboard, being at a library, speaking about peace and saving the earth. And I think that that is really cool. And it's a very beautiful, well put together look. Props on Nigel, but I'm gotta be honest. He's patchworked for every episode. When are we gonna see a different technique? It's almost the finale. When are we gonna see a different technique? That's all I'm saying. It's a good technique and he's really good at it, but when are we gonna get anything different? Up next is Bao, and Bao got the 80s. Now, I thought this was actually a really cool look. The giant puff asymmetry of it, the cutouts. It's still very Bao because it's very sex appeal, very very revealing, which is very Bow's aesthetic, but it still had this huge extravagantness that is very 80s prom. And I thought that it was very well put together. This very loud, shimmery fabric, really, really fun and cool. Very, very interesting and innovative take on an 80s prom look. Really good job, Bao. And finally, we have DeAndre, and DeAndre got the 90s, which is definitely what I would have wanted. And I'm pretty sure DeAndre was going for sort of a 90s hip-hop, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kind of vibe. And it definitely is apparent with the, what's it called? I want to say jumpsuit, but it's not jumpsuit. The overalls are very, very interesting. They're a little bit of a different take on it with that more of a square neckline. And I think that that's really interesting. And DeAndre sort of tried to bring in his classic puffer aesthetic with this giant windbreaker. And windbreakers are definitely a huge 90s thing. I remember going to the thrift store with my cousin, and she would love getting the windbreakers, and it was very, very a 90s aesthetic, which we were kids in the 90s, so it's definitely something we saw and saw our parents wear, and we thought it was really, really cool. Getting to purchase it and try it on and fall in love with it, it makes sense to me. I see what he's doing. And I actually love that it's more of a cape, and it's just huge and exaggerated. It's really cool. I will say something I've noticed is DeAndre uses a lot of blue. It kind of feels like blue is DeAndre's safe color because he's used blue quite often. I wish he would sort of depart from it a little bit, you know, and I wish he would depart from it a little bit because, as we can see, he's trying to branch out and not go for obvious puffer silhouette. He went for more of a windbreaker, almost a bomber jacket. So that is definitely appreciated. I do think the look is just okay. I think the bottom, what's worn underneath, isn't as strong as this cape because when he takes it off, to me, the look is just okay. I'm wondering what other elements could have been brought in that are very 90s. Maybe it could have been those like turtleneck fleece sweaters. But nonetheless, I actually really like the look. I think it's banging. Okay, so now we're gonna get into my look. And for me, I thought, okay, I could do the 2000s, right? No, I should go back in time. My favorite eras in fashion are the 50s, the 2000s, the 90s, but I also really love the 1920s. I really enjoy the flapper girl movement and sort of the classic suiting and those elements from the 1920s. One of my favorite books is The Great Gatsby, and I've watched the movies, but I definitely appreciate the book. I read it in high school, and I guess I made it my personality. I love the romanticism that is associated with the 1920s, and it sort of was sort of like the birth of women's lib. Women were drinking, women were partying, women were wearing pants. There was innovative things happening in that world at that time, and I wanted to sort of create a modernized version of what I feel like a flapper girl would wear. I went with a white base for the top, and there's this certain technique that I enjoy using where you basically cut fabric, or you get fabric already done in like silk scarves, and you use those squares to create diamond shapes. And so I knew I wanted this top to be a sort of riff off of a bandana dress that I made ages ago, but being more silky and white and sort of referential to the 1920s. And I also wanted to cut in pieces that were white lace to sort of give that sort of sheer illusion of women being allowed to express themselves more and showcase more of their body by having this sheer lace on these pieces. There'd be a little bit under the bust and on the abdomen, specifically to showcase this huge wide leg pant. It's kind of a palazzo pant. I debated on making a hakamo pant, but I wanted it to be just sort of a wide leg pleated trouser in the end because that felt the most modern. I did debate on making them huge wide legs, but I still wanted the sort of column silhouette that is associated with flapper girls. And of course, something that I associate with the 1920s that I sort of really love is pearls. I don't know why. I really love pearls. I wear a lot of pearls. I knew I wanted this top to have some sort of skirt situation going on with it. And I thought, how's the way that I can elevate this for the runway that isn't just a skirt? I'm gonna make it out of pearls. So I started illustrating these pearls in this grid pattern, almost cage-like. And I started making them drape and then hang off of each other and sort of creating this huge overlay of these pearls over these pants that are coming off of the top. So in my mind, as the model is moving, these pearls are swaying, swishing, and moving, sort of giving a reference to the Flapper Girl fringe, but it being pearls more beaded rather than it's just fabric. Because, you know, could have easily just attached fringe to this, but I wanted to elevate that idea, and I love pearls. And I don't know why, but for some reason, when I think of the 1920s, this concept comes to my head. What if Aphrodite was rebirthed in the 1920s and was a flapper girl? She would obviously be covered in pearls. And I don't know why that's where my brain goes. It's just where it goes. But this is sort of a slight ode to like Aphrodite in the 1920s, because that was sort of that concept that I've had for quite a while. And I actually am very in love with this look. It took me a few versions to get here, but I'm very, very happy with the final product. The way that there's a little bit of draping happening behind the top, so there's still movement up top, along with this pearl skirt. And I love the minimalism and simplicity of the nude with the sort of frosty champagne color. It's a little bridal, and I kind of love that, because I feel like if she's getting married, she's like, she's the one waiting up at the altar, and then like her partner's coming down in nothing but like pearls and sheer lace. Like, imagine how hot that would be. Oh my god, imagine like a lesbian wedding like that. I think that'd be really, really cute. Maybe I should illustrate the bride's look. That would be really cute. That's definitely how I took this approach. I wanted to go back even further and play with my favorite era, which is the 1920s. I think that the 1920s created a lot of interesting silhouettes that we rarely see today. So I definitely wanted to play with the more column-like silhouette and play with the sort of idea of fringe. And I think it came out quite great. I'm actually very, very happy with it. Okay, so final thoughts. I think designing in different decades is so fun. I think this is something that I'm going to make a little mini series of, just designing a look of every decade that I can possibly find inspiration and resources for. I definitely think we can start back as far as the 1800s, but I definitely think I would like to do American fashion, mainly because since I am living in America, it just makes the most sense, and I would have the most resources towards it. You know, I can go to museums that have costumes that I can literally go look and be directly inspired by things. The internet has pages on pages of references that I can find. I definitely think this could be a really fun series of mini illustrations that I can do of just throughout the decade. I think this is a very fun theme. I'm consistently inspired by different decades in fashion, and I think that it is a very, very smart thing to look backwards, look at the past, and be inspired by it and see how it can influence the modern age and era. There's a lot of very interesting ideas, and I even think that there's potentially some ideas that haven't been done. Like, you know, I was talking about that Aphrodite in the 1920s. Aphrodite is a classical, you know, Grecian goddess from ages ago. Bringing her into the 1920s is already mixing two different decades and eras in art and in fashion history. So I imagine, I don't know, what else could it be, you know? Maybe Aphrodite in the 2000s. How would that look? I mean, maybe that's the next concept. But nonetheless, this has been so much fun. I hope you enjoy. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you're inspired to pick a decade and design something for that decade. It's really, really fun to take a modern approach to historical fashion. With that, though, I'm gonna go. Take care. I hope you enjoyed. It's been real. It's been fun. I'm gonna go do the Charleston in this cowboy hat, because, you know, I don't think, you know, this cowboy hat has nothing to do with this theme. I bet y'all thought I was gonna do some sort of Western look, but I'm not. I just felt like wearing this hat, and it's kind of in like the same color palette of my look, you know. It's the white and the nude, the pearls, you know. I could be her twin. I don't know. I gotta go. Good. It's been real. It's been fun. Take care. Drink your water. Hope you're inspired. Bye.